So welcome everyone to episode 3 of the ABL Hot Corner. My name's Andrew Sperling, my co-partner here in crime, old Chuckles Chandler, and we're again going to have a look at everything that's occurring in the Brute Australian Baseball League. And what a weekend it was. We made some bold predictions. If there was a Richard Head file, I reckon I'd be under it in 2 or 3 incidents from last week. And Chuckles, you were right on the money, my man.
Oh, yeah. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone makes bold predictions. You get lucky sometimes, spells. But, look, a couple of things we saw on the weekend in regards to some teams we'll get to. Again, we have a bit of an incident in the Geelong Korea Perth series, which we'll get to, which you'll go into. I know you got strong reviews on that. We saw the Melbourne Adelaide series split, and really exciting series, obviously, from my standpoint, being involved with the Aces. But it was good to see some good baseball and Auckland get their first win.
Yeah, first wins. So it was absolutely fantastic, really fantastic for him, and we'll have a bit of a look at that one as well. Also got a bit of a treat for you tonight too. We caught up on the weekend with a couple of legends of Australian baseball, Stefan, Welch and John Deeble. So we've got some really terrific interviews, a bit of an insight into both of them. As we know, Welch is a pretty quiet guy and not a media-driven type of guy. So it was awesome to sit down with Steph and have a natter with him. So we got that. We might jump into things. We're going to keep things speeding along a little bit because both of those interviews are reasonably lengthy. And so a little less from us and a little more from them.
A lot of people like that from me.
So the Perth Geelong Korea series. So Geelong as well snatched their first win.
Yeah, we predicted a 2-2, and Perth came away with the series 3-1. Look, they scored nearly 50 runs on the weekend. Saturday was a total run score of about 38-4 in the 2 games. What do we think of Geelong Korea in the first 2 weeks? 1 win out of 8. Things not going too good. And we saw Mr. Koo, unfortunately, ejected again over incident spells. Now, I didn't see the incident, but you did, and you've got some views on that.
Yeah, well, I have. I think the first time we weren't overly happy with Koo. We thought it was just, something that wasn't quite on from a manager. This time, and a really crude slide into second base, and then the guys got up and moved to third. I think Koo was just in complete disbelief and thought, "You've got to be kidding me." I mean, that was an ejection, that slide. The guy nearly landed at second. So in that incident, Kudo's son was just purely sticking up for one of his players. And I think he had every right to. Is there such a thing as an ejection of an umpire?
I don't know. I don't think so. But are you saying that they may have got this one wrong?
Oh, they got it wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely got it wrong. And again, you could imagine any manager would have felt exactly the same.
Sticking up for his players.
Totally.
Okay. And we've seen, like Perth, the last first couple of weeks, players like Hall, Gray and Chester, Kennelly leading the averages at the moment, I think with a 444 batting average. All their averages are up there. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this week when they come to West Beach and face Solback and these type of pitches that the Bite have got. So Perth win that series 3-1. We move on to Brisbane and Auckland, and we saw Auckland get 2 wins out of 3 spells. We said to Mincy, you'll get your wins over there, so you've got them. Unfortunately, one of the other games was 2 games were originally rained out, but they caught up 1 the next day. Glagowski, what's going on, spells? We're only going to see him for 15 more innings. It's a pity he's not going to be hanging around.
Yeah, it's a pity because he's on the path to the big leagues. He is something special, and again, I think that everything that this was all about to introduce New Zealand and provide opportunities for the New Zealanders, just fantastic. Because I tell you what, Max Brown's on fire. Bo Bishop has lost weight and is just sharp as a tack behind the dish. That first game was really quite interesting, and they got ahead to Atara. They were 4-3 ahead in the top of the 9th. Those three important outs that we've talked about again, how sometimes how elusive they are, they just couldn't quite get it done. So on a wild pitch, which I hope it was recorded as a wild pitch, because it was a really hard one to handle for the catcher. And so they've tied it up 4-all. Bo Bishop's led off the bottom of the ninth, got a hit, replaced him with a speedster. He swiped second. They walked the hitter, and then they got a tough one, a ball off the chest plate just over there. The speedster's taken third, throw over the top. Scored him, and just absolutely some euphoria at the ground. It was just great to see.
Do you think Searle is a concern after 2 starts as a starter for Brisbane?
Well, I think we had a little bit of an insight into this when Adelaide tried to convert Matty Williams in a starter through necessity. When the Australian, the demands on Australian pitches was there. And, at the end of the day, being a closer, Matty was probably, fastball, split finger guy. But all of a sudden, as a starter, you need more than that. You're not going to get away with 2 pitches. You're probably not even going to get away with 3 pitches.
Sure.
You really, as a starter, need to have your full arsenal, have it when you need it. And maybe Ryan's just, struggling with that 3rd pitch.
I'm sure he'll come good. I've got utmost confidence in Brisbane and Dingo, Big Dave Nielsen, to sort him out. So we've also seen an Orioles prospect in Zhu Guin. I hope I've pronounced that right. Apologies if I haven't. He's gone 5 for 10 on the weekend, a top Orioles prospect. And it's good to see these prospects that have come out to play for Auckland producing. So they get their first series win on the weekend. People will say probably not because they didn't play 1 game, but it's great to see Auckland get 2 wins. So we'll close out those first 2 reviews, and now we'll shoot straight to a break, and then we'll come straight back and we'll review the last 2 series.
Hi, I'm Scott Kosminski from the Melbourne Aces, and you're watching the ABL Hot Corner.
Well, welcome back to the ABL Hot Corner. We're reviewing week 2. We're having our 3rd episode this afternoon. Spoils will get into the other 2 series from the weekend, Canberra and Sydney. Now, last week, Canberra and Sydney, I told you last week, expect something from the Orange. And
I'm
they did.
just wiping some egg off my face, Chuckles, because I was all over the Blue Sox last week. Thought, wow, they're here to play, and I suppose, put the acid test on Canberra a little indirectly, because and I'm a bit worried, Chuckles, because quite frankly, you win 4-0 your first series. You're sitting at home. You're facing a team that went 0-4. Where's the heart and soul, my man?
You've been a bit harsh, eh?
Oh, quite frankly,
No?
I don't know, but I would have thought that they would have just really muscled up and just tried to. And I realised the pitching for Canberra was really good, but so was the pitching from Sydney the week before. I don't know, mate. They hardly scored a run in that first 3 games.
Look, we saw great pitching from Imanaga from Canberra. Zach Wilson got a hit in every game. And Josh Geyer for Sydney, mentioning him, they needed a win on Sunday. And they came out and virtually demolished Canberra in game 4. And they needed that win. You would have thought Sunday morning when they woke up saying, well, we need this. We don't want to go to Brisbane 4-4 after we knocked off Geelong Korea 4 times and losing to Canberra 4 times. So they would have been relieved. A small relief that they won the game on Sunday. They go to Brisbane now 5-3. We said that the first week. They're above 500. If they can come away from Brisbane 2-2, and we'll get to that in a minute. But 5-3, I think they'd be happy with that after the first 2 weeks. But they really had a chance to probably win another one and split those games with Canberra. But they haven't. They start the 2 series 5-3, and they go to Brisbane this week. We move on to probably interesting series of the.
Well, you actually also called this the series of the round.
The Melbourne Adelaide.
Yeah.
Did I?
Well,
I don't know.
I got a feeling you did. I tell
There you
you
go.
what, Chuckles, you were on fire, my man, because I sat and thought, really?
Melbourne just blow 'em.
Well, I would have thought that they would have been the real assertive team, but that ended up splitting and being a pretty good series.
I reckon people would have walked away from that series that the 4 games could have gone either way. Probably the blowout in the second night with Adelaide getting a jump early 6-0 after 2 innings.
No,
but
the other unlucky there, Melbourne, because they had their boy flying over from Melbourne and plane delay.
Had to make a change.
Had to make a change. As it all worked out in that game, he wasn't doing a bad job, the starter, and I'm sorry, you're going to have to help me with
Inciondo.
The guy Abels that ended up starting it, and I thought he was doing a pretty good job. The field didn't help him, misread a couple of balls.
Yes, they did,
and ended up jumping out to 3-0.
3 zips straight away, and then Jack got off the plane, had a quick change of clothes, and came in the second innings. Again, Melbourne had their chances to get back in that game late. Adelaide tacked on another couple of runs there towards the end. But the other 3 games, well, we saw Sunday's game could have gone either way, and it did. Thursday night's game 2-0, and then Melbourne winning 5-2, and that was close right up until the end, until Melbourne tacked on 3 runs in the 9th, or 2 runs, I should say, in the 9th. Look, the other 3 games could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So I think it shows that Adelaide have promise. They definitely have promise. I said 2 weeks ago that I like their line-up spells. The bottom half just worries me a bit. The DH spot certainly worries me a bit. But Getty's 3 home runs. What a weekend.
Wow. Well, I just was lucky enough on Saturday morning to bump into Luke Prokopec, and without any provocation, without any question, he said, hey, this Getty's guy. He said he's got some serious pop.
Yeah.
And we left that park on Sunday morning, and I said to Darren, our producer and owner of this great show here, I said, once again, wind just howling in. I don't know what's going to be for him today. When I read that he hit 3, Mikey hit 1, a couple of the boys from Perth hit 1. You tell me a guy hit 1 opposite
from
field.
Melbourne. From Melbourne, yeah. Romansky hit 1 straight off the bat to right field that went over like a shot and hit the fence on the other side of the. I run fence obviously, but Getty's bat wasn't the only thing on show. It was also his arm, and he fired a couple in from right field on the weekend on Sunday. One oversailed the home plate. I was standing at first base, and the first one I saw it go went over my head. Whew, that had some serious smoke, and
had the wind behind him.
Had the wind behind him, but I'm telling you right now, he is probably. I haven't seen some of the other teams, but he would have probably the power arm in the outfield in the ABL. I'll make that call right now because seriously, teams want to run on his arm. You better guess again. But we saw some great pitching from Melbourne. Westphal again, the lefty on Thursday night. Falwell coming in from the pen. Kosminski had a great outing, going 3 innings, setting up the win on Saturday night. So Melbourne's ERA is just under 3 at the moment, and it's setting them up good for the season. They've got some reinforcements coming. So it'll be interesting to see how the rotation and the bullpen goes moving forward. So. But Melbourne going away 2-2, they'd be happy with that. And of course, they come up against Geelong Korea this week in Altona.
And their little hometown rivalry. So, very, very interesting. I think Adelaide, as you've intimated, are finding their feet.
They're getting there. Don't worry about the bite. They will be there towards season end pushing, I reckon.
Yeah, and as we said, we were lucky enough to catch up with the guy that in this series played his 250th game for the Bite. Absolute legend. We love him to death, and we were lucky enough to catch up and have a chat with the great Stefan Welch. So this is the ABL Hot Corner, and we're absolutely privileged today to have Stefan Welch with us, a man who doesn't often give a lot to the media, Steph, and you like to stay behind the scenes a little bit, but thanks very much for sharing some time with us.
No, thanks for having me. It's a privilege to be on here. The privilege is all mine, so thank you for having me.
Now back to Norwood Morialta High School and the Red Sox in the early days, transferred to Goodwood, signed at a very young age. What's your memories of those times, Welshie?
Good fun actually. The old academy days and national tournaments, and I was lucky enough to had a pretty good tournament and got an offer from Tony Harris and the Mets. And just jumped at it. That's all I wanted to do was go play baseball, and I was lucky enough to sign when I was 16. Finished a couple of years of high school. I was in year 11 when I signed. Finished 11, 12. Then went over after that.
So what were your first couple of years? I mean, you're a pretty shy sort of guy, and to go over there in the big hustle and bustle of as it was minor league baseball. Tell us a bit about that.
Oh man, remember the first day you walk in, it's so daunting. You walk in, there's 200 just athletes that are amazing at baseball, and you think, what am I doing here? But you soon learn to just to trust yourself and work hard and trust your abilities, and it was good fun. You learn a lot of life lessons, I think, like being a young kid going over, living by yourself for the first time, meeting a whole new different group of people, different languages, being on time, so much structure. It was sort of bittersweet. It was amazing, but it was tough as well, being away from family and friends and stuff. But it was a great experience.
And for a position player, probably doubly hard to pitchers who just always are given so much more time to develop. But what about being a position player, and what did they do with you over here? You sort of cut your teeth here at third base, and did that follow?
Yeah, so I signed as a shortstop, and pretty much straight away I said I'll go play third base, too big and slow for short. So I was playing third, and then we're in the GCL. Remember I played the first couple of games, but they signed a second rounder. High school I was playing third base. So I sat on the bench for probably a good 3 weeks or a month, just watching every day. And I won't say luckily, but our first baseman got injured, and they said, "Oh, you got a first base glove?" I said, "No." I said, "Borrow one." And next day I played first and started swinging alright and finished the season playing every day. And sort of, you look back, if that guy didn't get hurt, what would have happened? I could have been released, could have, you don't know what could have happened, but ended up playing first base the next couple of years, first and third, and getting a bit more of an opportunity, which was awesome.
Well, while we're speculating, how close do you think you were to playing Major League Baseball?
Probably still a ways away, I think. I never really had amazing talents, I guess. I had to work really hard to get to where I was, and I had a couple good years, a couple of bad years, but I got double A. Obviously the goal was to make it to the big leagues, but it didn't happen. But I look back, I worked my ass off, and sorry, I don't know if we can swear in this, but I worked as hard as I could, so I don't have any regrets about the work I put in. But yeah, it just wasn't meant to be, but still made the most of it.
Absolutely, and here you are a couple of nights ago playing your 250th game for the Adelaide Bite. One, congratulations, and two, it's been a long journey for you, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. It's gone pretty quick though, actually. I remember the first game out at Norwood when the first ABL started, and to now it's just sort of flown by. Those 10 years go pretty quick, and same day, we're in the change rooms, a couple of us older boys listening to the music that the kids are playing these days, and we don't know what they're playing. It's like, man, when do we get so old? But that's why it's been fun, and still chasing that championship, elusive championship, and we've got a really good group of young Aussie kids coming up now, so it's sort of fun to watch them grow, and hopefully they'll be the next group to come through and take it out.
Let's reflect on a few years ago under Brooke and Mincy, when the club was just so close.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking, the 2013-14 season. That was probably the year we should have won at Norwood. When we won the first game, and we were up in the second game, and they came back, and then we played. D-Stan hit a walk-off, go ahead double or single, I think. That was tough that year, because we really thought we should have won. We were the best team, I thought, all year, but it wasn't meant to be. Perth played well. They created their dynasty, and so we're still chasing. But I mean, we've had a pretty successful stint this ABL. I think without winning one, we've been pretty competitive the whole time. So, hopefully will come soon.
Hey, Stefan Welch, I know you've got a game very soon. Really appreciate your time and go out there and knock them dead today, buddy.
No worries. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it, mate.
Cheers.
This is a message to our rivals. We are Perth Heat. And there is a fire that burns inside us. It burns during a 5 a.m. gym session. And it's fueled by the sacrifices we make. Intensity is not just a word to us. It's a way of life. And we'll keep coming. Every step. And every breath. You better be ready. Because we're bringing the fire. The heat is on.
So welcome back to the ABL Hot Corner, and now we're going to have a look at this week's series. First one, Chuckles. We're going up to the beautiful Sunshine State. We're going up to Queensland.
One Hub Stadium powered by Optus. I'm sure that they'll be happy with me saying that.
Yeah.
Sydney at Brisbane. Well, this is what we wanted to see, the Blue Sox above 500. They'll go to Brisbane. I'm going to go with the home team. Spurs, I get Brisbane to win this series. I said last week if they was over and under question of 15 wins, I think I'll go under, but Sydney, if Sydney come away 2-2, it'll be a win for them.
Oh, I'd say so.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're both on the bounce,
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they pull themselves together and bounce back.
Brisbane looking for a bit of blood?
Well, I suppose they have to be. They have to be because they were disappointing. As much as you want to not underestimate or say that New Zealand aren't quite up to the mark at the moment, well, they certainly were, and they really played brilliant baseball against Brisbane. So it's going to be quite an interesting series. And even though it's early days, Blowtorch nearly out next week and back on the Blue Sox.
Well,
I was all for them. I really was greatly disappointed with them, and they got a lot to pick themselves up and go.
So I'll go Brisbane. You go Brisbane.
I'll go Brisbane.
You go Brisbane. Both of us for Brisbane. Perth at Adelaide. Well, here we go. Is it time for the Bite to start winning series? They go to Geelong Korea next week. I know they probably aren't looking ahead that much, but it would be in the back of their mind spells if they can get away with this series. They've got to come away minimum 2-2 from this series. Yeah. Otherwise, they'll be playing catch up for Perth and Melbourne for the rest in their division for the rest of the season. If the Bite can come away with a 3-1 series win or 4-0, 3-1 or 4-0 series win either way, nothing's a given, of course, but they head over to Melbourne next week to play Geelong Korea. It'll be a great step for them, launching pad, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to sit on the fence again. I'll go 2-2.
Yeah, I've got to stick with you. I think the same. I mean, Perth are in just red hot form. I don't know how many home runs they hit in that feast that they had.
I think they're leading the league with 20.
Oh, I think they hit 14 or 18 or something over the weekend. It was it was phenomenal. And I mean, that sort of form doesn't sort of drift away from you. They're going to be really hard to beat. And I think if Adelaide can scratch out at 2-2, I think they'll be doing well. So
we're working for Stratco again. We're going to sit on the fence.
We're right on it.
2-2, 2-2, right on the fence. So they're the first two series for this week. We'll take a short break and be back for the last two.
Hey, I'm Greg Moselle from the Adelaide Bite, and you're watching ABL Hot Corner.
Well, welcome back to the ABL Hot Corner. We're having our picks for week 3 in the Brute Australian Baseball League season for 2018-2019. We come to Series 3, Geelong Korea at Melbourne. Spells, you can call me being biased. Melbourne will win this series. Is it a matter of them winning it 3-1 or 4-0?
Well, I'll go 3-1, Shane. I think that they're finding their feet. I think there's a game there for them to win, and then the floodgates may open again.
Our tone has been prone to some light west speech with the wind. blowing in and blowing out.
Yeah, well, I'm just with that scoreline last week. I was going to ask you because I've been to Geelong a couple of times and had an 8 national series there. I thought it was a really hard part to hit at, but boy oh boy.
Yeah, well, Perth certainly put on the home run power and a lot of balls got flown out, but our team can be tricky on nights, but we're both going with Melbourne to win. We are. Melbourne to win the series there. The last series, Canberra take the trip across the Tasman to Auckland. And this could be an interesting series, fellas. I think I could be sitting on the fence here again. I'll go 2-2. Look, it's all about pitching matchups for me. We didn't see a lot of runs scored between Brisbane and Auckland last weekend. I think it's going to come down to pitching.
I think you're right, and it's how could you say that with the head honchos going over there last week and thinking their rotation's as strong as anyone, but they jumped into Blackley. They're obviously legitimate to Tara, and all credit to them and Mitzi and the boys. It seems like they've got a lot of passion, a lot of unity, and that's going to count. But I think Canberra obviously found something too, Chuckles. So I think they're as strong a matchup as you could nearly send over at the moment, and I think you're right on the money again.
So sitting on the fence.
I'm getting splinters too.
Getting splinters too. So we're going to sit on the fence. So here we go. We've got Brisbane winning their series. We've got Melbourne winning their series. The Perth, Adelaide, and the Canberra, Auckland matchups are going to be split, according to the fence sitters this week. So we'll go to a break. And then we'll come back to Spurs' favourite 2 parts of the show, I've been led to believe.
Welcome back everyone, the ABL Hot Corner, and one of the little segments that's just going gangbusters is Grill the Big Chuckler. Now, Mark.
My God, Mark!
The uniforms. What was going on, my man? There were the greys, there were 2 shades of grey going on.
There were 2 shades of grey at West Beach on the weekend, and there were 2 shades of grey at Geelong Korea on the weekend. Melbourne and Perth, I don't know what's going on with the uniform spells, and it's probably not their team's fault either. It's probably more the suppliers. We don't know the real reason, but we've got 2 sets of grey playing in the ABL at the moment. Melbourne played one game with obviously all greys, but they're two-toned. One's light and one's dark. Their pants are all dark, and the tops are all light grey. Now, I would have thought going back spells, and you and I have been around a lot of baseball, like most people out there, if you see a visiting team in an all-grey outfit, guess what? It's all the one colour, isn't it?
Generally, that's the idea of it.
But we saw on the weekend, 2-tone grey.
Yeah.
Saw the Perth boys wear all their greys on the weekend, and I'm led to believe, and this isn't a shot up for the ABL or their supplier, but I'm led to believe, just to match up those colours, some of the players in teams will be wearing their own grey pants from last year and the year before.
Yeah.
Now, you can't knock them for doing that either, because they're just trying to make it the same colour.
Well, vanity, mate. Players like to look good. I mean, baseball is a game. You look good, you play good. It's
right.
It's an old saying. And if they're not happy with the coordination of the colours, they're going to do something about it themselves.
So, not good. Two tones of grey. There you go.
That's the Big Chuckler.
What's question 2?
Well, the question 2 was that I was doing some rounds in Adelaide, and there was some murmurs and a little bit of an uprest from members about having to travel down to Mount Gambier for the upcoming
series against Auckland.
Yeah.
Why would you be whinging about that for?
I don't know. I thought that it was also the ABL's idea was to take it regional. Let's get out to the
Absolutely. I reckon Adelaide and Melbourne should have played there years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be great for a city like Mount Gambier to a perfect starting point. I mean, we've seen Wollongong with Canberra and Sydney in previous years. Adelaide and Auckland playing in Mount Gambier. a fantastic baseball town, fantastic sporting town, Blue Lake Sports Park down there. They've got the hockey, they've got the football, they've got the baseball all in the one. It'll be a great standing point for country baseball in South Australia to have an ABL series.
Well, it's only 30 years, and the poor old Mount people having to drive to Adelaide all the time, so it's a little bit too much for us to pop in the car and drive
5 hours. Is it? It's not hard. I know we don't know people's personal situations. Look, the game's on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Let's drive down there late on a Friday night, or let's miss the traffic or miss the night time travel and get down there on Saturday morning and see a double header.
Come on.
Support the township, support the people that are in the motels and give them the money and spend the night in Mount Gambier, watch the game on Sunday and drive back Sunday night. Now I know it can be taxing, 5-hour drives, but you and I have been there again, carpool. I heard one member on the weekend saying that, what does it do for our membership? Well, if you remember and you make the trip down there, you still get in, I'm assuming so, alright? But if you want to whinge and whine about taking baseball to regional in Australia, then don't go, give your ticket to somebody else or hand in your membership.
Get over yourself, people. This is Grill the Big Chuckler. We'll have a quick break.
Hi, I'm Tyler Falwell from the Melbourne Aces, and this is the ABL Hot Corner.
On the ABL Hot Corner, we've got a segment that we love called the Blowtorch. And Chuckles, I made a bit of a mess of myself last week, so over to you, big fella, this time.
Blowtorch. Now, I'm going on from last week. You caused a bit of a stir, but I reckon it was warranted on the TV or the streaming. That was a great point, Spells. But I've got the Blowtorch this week is on the crowd figures that we get from the ABL/MILB.com site. The Melbourne Adelaide series on the weekend suggested that, it's up there in print, that there's some 1,578 people turned up for the 4 games. Let's round it off to 1,600, right? So if there were 1,600 people there on the weekend, I'll walk to West Beach from Valley View the next time I go down there. Because if someone can prove to me, Spells, I'm being serious, people that were at the game on Thursday night, we know the conditions wet, windy. We know it's going to turn people away. No problem with that. But I'm standing there at first base on Thursday night. I counted 120, 125 people, 150 people, maybe. And by the 7th innings when the rain came, briefly it poured down, there was 70 people left in the stands.
Now, a bit of creative accounting, do you think? They're padding it up? Or they're just simply counting members and saying, well, we've got 300 members, so there's 300 that are paid. Do you think they're included? Well, we don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know. But crowd numbers were certainly down, and certainly know the hierarchy at Adelaide are doing everything in their powers. And look, the conditions weren't good.
Sunday was the best day, obviously.
It was a lovely day.
And Saturday night was where we were drawn to 4 or 5 hours because of the rain delay. Friday night was okay. Thursday night was the wet and windy, of course, from the downpour we had during the day and the days leading up to it. But as I said, if the crowd numbers, there's no way knowing 1,600 people were there on the weekend. And it's about time that we get told how do they collect the numbers from the weekend? I mean, do we have a right to know? I think we don't.
I don't know. This is your Blowtorch.
Well, do we have a right to know?
It's obviously meaning something to you.
Well, do we have a right to know? I mean, I want to see the stands filled. You want to see the stands filled, right? But if we're going to inflate numbers for popularity and propaganda sakes, it's the wrong thing to do.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Jackson Rush from the Adelaide Bite, and you're watching ABL Hot Corner.
4-2 in the pitching department. The team pitching department ERA of 9.42, over under 8 for the season.
I think that the lines and the phone calls might be being made already, and they're going to stop their bullpen up. So I am going to go under.
There you go, under. Under 8? In the 7 range? 6 range? 7 range?
Well, you'd hope so. You'd hope so. Now, last one for you, Chuckles. Over or under, Matt Kennelly.
Tim Kennelly. Come on, you don't need your glasses on, do you?
I do need my glasses on. Tim Kennelly being thrown into the lead-off spot, hitting .444 at the moment. Over or under, season average 325.
Oh, over. He is one of the perennial veterans of the ABL, and he wouldn't mind me saying that. He's a classy lead-off, classy player, as we know, coming from that family. 325 in the lead-off spot, he's going over.
Wow, that's pretty big time. 325 and going over. So we're just about to wrap things up, Chuckles. Been another good night with you, old fella.
Thanks, mate.
We have got one interview to go, and we really hope that you enjoy this. Mr. Baseball of Australia, John Deeble. We had a lovely chat with him. We'll see you next week. Enjoy. This is the ABL Hot Corner, and we're privileged to have John Deeble with us. So thanks very much for your time, John.
Yeah, no, good to be here.
Now, you, it goes back a long way with you. You was it all the Preston Baseball Club in the early days with you and your family? Is that how you bounced into baseball?
Yeah, I followed on. My father played, obviously, and yeah, so Preston and junior state teams and Australian teams, and sort of evolved from there. And then I was playing with the Reds at the time, and the Marlins were the affiliate of the New Monarchs, and they offered me to manage the team, which I was still playing at the time, and yeah, so I ended up managing and playing, and we won the championship that first year. So sort of just grew from there, and ended up going over to the Marlins to coach with them for 8 years, and then moved on. John Henry, who was the owner of the Marlins, bought the Red Sox, and he took me and 2 other guys across with him. So spent 16 years there, and last 2 years I got approached by the Dodgers to come over as a director of international scouting. So yeah, so over there now and having a blast. It's been great.
And that's perhaps why they call you Mr. Baseball.
No, I don't know about that, but you know, you like being around the game, and you know, I do this Melbourne job. It's not a financial gain, that's for sure, but it's just we've got a good bunch of guys, and you know, I enjoy trying to help out. So yeah, so it's that part of it's been good, and you know, I continue to do my role, and it's been great with the Dodgers. I've learnt more, I think, in the last 2 years with the Dodgers about players, scouting, coaching than, you know, in the last 18 years of coaching the national team. So it's amazing how much you can learn with, you know, with the new stuff that's going on with the spin efficiencies and the launch angles and all this sort of stuff, and how we look at players now, how we scout players, and how to coach players. So yeah, I've learned a lot in the last 18 months, 2 years with the Dodgers. I think I've got 26 guys we have in research and development. So yeah, it's been quite an eye-opener to, you know, look at it all and go, gee, you know, haven't scratched the surface. So, but look, it's been a fun ride, and I'm enjoying being with the Monarchs, the Aces, sorry, and yeah, so it's been a good ride.
Fantastic. And you know, just on that, you're saying your last couple of years been big learning years for you, and it's showing with your team because they're improving and continue to improve.
Yeah, look, we got a lot of players coming back. I think in Melbourne the big thing is we sort of get disadvantaged because we have a lot of professional pitchers that don't get to pitch. So you know, we've got some big names coming back. We've got Meister, who's an Australian. We've got McGrath, who's in AA with Boston. We've got John Kennedy, that's been up to AAA this year with the Braves. And of course, and Delman Young's coming after Christmas. So you know, we're going to get better. And but look, to me, it's not about that too. It is about getting better, but it's about having a good bunch of guys. We've got a great clubhouse. You know, we do a lot of work on our culture, and you know, really don't want idiots. So you know, we really worked hard on that, and we've got a great bunch of imports this year, great guys, and everyone gets along, and our clubhouse culture's been amazing this year, probably the best I've ever been around.
And also just the Perth bunch, that core bunch of Perth guys, you'd think were nearly inseparable. And you got initially D-San, and now you've picked up Hughes. I mean, they're massive moves for those guys. What can you tell us about them wanting to come to the Aces?
Look, I think first off, I've never recruited anybody. You know, I get a lot of grief here in Adelaide. I didn't recruit Josh Tolles. You know, I didn't recruit Dushan Rusick. And the same, D-Sam Miguel was already there before I got here, and that was a deal that was done, and he wanted to move because his girlfriend was on the East Coast, and with Luke, we didn't recruit Luke, and his girlfriend is from Melbourne. So, you know, he wanted to start a life over in Melbourne, and it was his decision to come over, and then he contacted us. So, you know, I thought it was really important as the national coach back when I was the national coach that I wasn't seen to be recruiting players. And as I said, you know, Josh Tolles had contacted the Aces and wanted to come down. And I remember Rusick was going to go to Perth. And, you know, then our front office people were like, well, if you're going to go to Perth, come to Melbourne. So, but, you know, I just wanted to really make sure that I wasn't in a position of power of trying to get guys to come. And as I said, I've never recruited one player here. So Meister was a different story, and Walker, I found out that both those guys had Australian parents, and I did recruit those guys. But and you know, Walker's, this guy's an amazing character and a great guy, great clubhouse guy, and he's actually living in Sydney at the moment. And hopefully, he went back to the States, and then he got a job working for an American company out here. So and he's doing really well, and we're hoping that there's a chance he's going to move his offices to Melbourne. So, but he just fits in great. So yeah, it's we've got a great group of guys.
If I was asked you a question from a playing and coaching sense, is in a couple of highlights from your playing days?
Look, I wasn't a very good player.
Well, that's not entirely true.
Well, you know, I got into coaching early because, you know, you look back and, you know, back in those days playing for Australia, the pros couldn't play. So, you know, I often say to people, we wouldn't have even played for Australia, I don't think, if the pros. But, you know, I enjoyed it and I competed. And, you know, I think the highlights are probably more my coaching than, you know, the 2004 Olympics. You know, we were terrible in 2000. I take responsibility for that. But I don't think we would have won in 2004 or got a silver medal without the failures of 2000, looking back. And you know, people don't understand how hard it is. And it's not easy coaching the Australian team. And you know, people don't realise everyone's ready to criticise, and the game speeds up, and the game speeds up quick. And on the Australian team, you're never the favourites to win, you're always the underdog. And, you know, you've got to try and make moves to try and figure out a way to win and prepare the players. And, you know, people are going to find out now that are coaching, it's not that easy. And you know, I've had a lot of criticism especially the last couple of years from certain people, you know, in Australian baseball, which I think was unfair. But it's the way it is. That's sport, and but they'll find out it's not that easy, and it speeds up in a hurry. So you know, I think we had a lot of success. We took that team from 15th in the world to 7th, and you know, we finished 5th in 2 world championships. We had a silver medal. We won an Asian tournament in Taiwan. So you know, I think we did a pretty good job. And again, it's really funny. You look at the budgets they're throwing around now. We had no money. And we had no money. We had, you know, there was no such thing as training camps. I remember the Athens Olympics. We got together 2 days before. We had 2 days of training at the Olympic Village, and that was it. That was our preparation. But you know, Phil Jauncey, I credit him with a lot. He put a lot of work in the sports psych area, getting the guys on the same page, and you know, we had that success. And you know, probably unlucky not to win a gold medal at the end of it all.
Yeah, and what about with the advent of the Little League system coming into Australia 5 or 6 years ago, with the production of youth? Are you seeing some positive signs?
Yeah, well, look, one criticism that I've had, and I spoke to the ABF about this, they didn't listen, but a lot of American pro teams have pulled out of Australia, and I think there's only 8 left out of the 30 teams that were coming here, and there's a reason for that. There's no players coming through. So, you know, my big pitch back when I was managing was, you know, we need to build from the bottom up, and we need to get the Little League right. We need to get the Aussie T-ball right. And, you know, without that, you're not going to get the players at the top. And I know it's hard in every sport. You know, there seems to be a decline in every sport, but, you know, for me, it's got to be reasonably priced. You know, baseball's not a cheap sport to play, is it? With the gloves and the bats and the shoes and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, to me, we've got to find a way to make it cheap and get kids playing the game and get kids throwing. You know, and I can only speak for Victoria. We've got this charter, and it hasn't been me. It's been Damien Shanahan and Justin Huber. Our charter programs in Melbourne are really strong, and I think we've got 100 North, 100 South, 100 East, 100 West. So we've got, you know, 400 kids in a charter program, and you know, they're all working together, which I think's critical. And you know, look, the other thing is too, I think that we've had a big exit of kids going to college. I think we've probably got over 100 kids in college. So that hopefully they'll start coming back. The problem is half of that, you know, the research that I've done, half of them end up staying. They're getting married and stay there, so you lose them in the end. But you know, the kids that come back, you know, they need to be playing in this league, and unfortunately that hasn't happened this year. And you know, these kids that spend 4 years in college should be 10-year players in the ABL like that used to be. And, you know, you can't develop players if they're not playing. And, you know, I think that's something that has to be looked at. And, you know, I watched Mitch Lightbody out there last night. He got a hit. They're the kids that should be playing, and unfortunately they're just not getting to. And I've got them on my team too. What do? You know, like when you've got that many imports and you've got pressure, like we're probably the luckiest team in the league because we've got players from Kansas City, the Braves, Red Sox, Dodgers, and the Phillies. So, you know, they send them out here and they pay for them, so you've got to play them. And, you know, I just think that, you know, I look back in our 2004, the Gavin Fingalsons, the Craig Lewises, and these types of guys that, Brendan Kingmans, you know, they come back, they played in the league for 10 years. Back when we played, you know, we were 10-year players in the old league, but kids aren't getting that opportunity now, which I think is a shame.
Yeah, look, we really thank you for your time. You've got a game on in probably less than an hour, a big game for the Aces. Yeah, look, as I said, our guys are going well. We've got really good pitching left, so I think that's a big advantage for us. We've got Takagi pitching, who's had 6 years in the MPB with the Yomiuri Giants and Cebu Lions. Great guy, good stuff. So he'll pitch, and I've still got our AA reliever from the Red Sox, Harrison Cooney, who has been up to 101 miles an hour, so we haven't used him yet. So we've had really good starting pitching this year, and I haven't had to use the bullpen too much. We got a few Aussies in the other night, but that was probably because the planes all got delayed, the kids coming up late from work, and that's another issue too, and I don't know how to get around that. But, you know, you're flying kids in. Enciondo for us was on an aeroplane, it got delayed. He's an electrician, apprentice electrician, so he was pulling lights in and out. He got here at 7:20 after the game started, and you know, and he had to run up the bullpen, get ready, which was probably unfair on him. But yeah, look, today we've got good pitching and probably got our best hitting lineup in I think we've had all year.
Fantastic. Well, all the very best. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Great.